Hi, Mike. Hi. Hi, Karen. Morning. Is that Joe's? Okay, Karen, what do you got? No statements. What do you got? Thank God. Uh-huh.
Prior to even interviewing, and basically how did that all shake out?
Yeah, well, again, just looking at the staff, extremely proud of the staff that we were able to put together. It's difficult in the National Football League to be able to get, every coach that you may covet or may want to get outside the coordinators that, aren't a coordinator at somewhere else just because of the rules. Like teams are under contract. Some teams want to keep the coaches that they have. They feel like they're good coaches. But we were able to put together a great staff, one that we're really proud of. And you asked about Josh, and I would say that, having had communications with Josh in my role in Cleveland, he wasn't under contract with the team, so we had numerous conversations, interviewed a handful of great candidates, and in the end felt like Josh was the best fit to lead our offense, just like Terrell was the best fit to lead our defense, and Jeremy and Tom returning to lead the special teams unit.
Is Terrell going to call the defense?
Yeah, that's the plan. Like he's going to be the defensive coordinator. He's going to call defenses, and he's an aggressive-minded coach that's coached really aggressive defensive linemen. That's his background, and so I've enjoyed the process of what he's learned when he's gone to Detroit, what he learned with us in Tennessee, to be able to tie the back end together with the stuff that we want to do with the front, and those conversations that have been going on in the last couple weeks since everybody's been together.
Mike, was there ever a point in Cleveland where there was a conversation about whether a permanent job was in the future for you? And did you tell them, no, my plan is to leave?
No, I didn't want to permanently consult in Cleveland for the rest of my career. Different position? No. Enjoyed my time. I appreciate Jimmy and Dee, entire Haslam family, Andrew and Kevin, and the relationships that I got to make there. It's been fun to see those individuals. I walked into the suite last night in between interviews, and they said, "Oh, get out of here." I said, "I don't work for you guys anymore. You can't tell me what to do." So it was fun just to see them, but there was no conversation about any long-term plans there. I would have, listened because I didn't have a job at the time.
What did you maybe learn from that experience in Cleveland that helped contribute to you as a coach?
Just how critical, just the little things, right? Just the staff and being mindful of when new coaches come onto the staff. And I know that Kevin was conscious of that. I think that's why I love the idea of having me work with the offense. It's something that I've thought was very beneficial to those coaches, to me, to have conversations. The way that some offensive coaches see things and the way that defensive coaches may see them a little differently. And so have been able to do that in New England and moved Ben over to defense to help Terrell and that staff just look at it from an offensive perspective and things that we can make sure that we're taken care of and not letting slip.
Mike, how would you describe how the team will approach free agency?
Hopefully aggressive. We want to be aggressive. We want to target players that we feel like are going to help us. They're going to be outstanding players. They're going to be outstanding additions to the locker room and the community. And if that all fits and the compensation fits, but I'm confident that we'll be aggressive. We've started some of those discussions internally. And I think having different plans and having an option A and option B, things are going to change. Everybody's looking at the same players. So we have to be ready to pivot and adjust and have a vision for each player, I would say, at each level. There's going to be this high level that things are going to get done very quickly. That'll transition then to, maybe just some mid-range dollars, and then obviously you look at opportunity. So free agency gets broken down into, compensation, and then it gets broken down into opportunity. And I feel like we're in a position to offer both as far as compensation and opportunity for some of these players.
What's one of the bigger things the team has to do to support Drake May?
Well, there's a lot. Again, I think you always talk about being able to protect them. You have to be able to, have some guys that can help them on the edges and be able to make contested catches. And you don't have to be perfect, right? You don't have to have, perfect ball placement, right? And those are all things that we talk about, trying to support Drake, believing that he is the future of our franchise at quarterback, and been able to meet with him and talk with him and just get to know him as a person. But you have to look at the lines of scrimmage, and you look no further than the Super Bowl game where, that game was clearly won at the line of scrimmage.
What's your early assessment of the edge rushers coming out in this draft class?
I think it's a good draft. I mean, I think there's a lot of names, there's a lot of personalities. Some guys we met last night that were serious. Some guys had a different personality, was maybe a little bit more, engaging, and I think that's fun. I think all we're trying to do through this process is get the players to be as authentic as possible, to figure out where the fit is, and how they can add to our roster and our team and the vision that we have for them. And I would say that last night was a great start, going through that process with the players that came in there, and it just happened to be the D-line and a lot of the edge players and the inside linebackers.
Mike, over the last few years as a coach and a consultant, are there trends you've seen in the NFL that have kind of changed the way you think about coaching, the way you think about personnel? Maybe you think about different positions differently than you might have even 3 years ago?
Well, I'm always going to believe that coaching is about connections and making relationships with players and holding them accountable and being honest and giving them things that are going to help them and being creative. I'll never stray from that. I'm going to continue to always try to find ways to teach them whatever their capacity is, whatever we have to do to get them the knowledge that they need. We're going to try to develop players. We've done that in our past, in our history, focusing on what they can do as opposed to what they can't, having an energy every day to come in the building. It's a long season, and I have to be able to provide that and let that trickle down through our coaches and our players. Trends, I think, look how critical the nickel position has become and how dynamic that player can be. You need guys that can cover, obviously, but the edges of the defense, be able to rush and affect the quarterback. I don't know if any of that will change. There'll be scheme things that change, and some teams believe in RPO, some believe in trying to block the extra defender. Some teams believe in reading the end and letting the quarterback, those are things that we're always going to adapt and adjust to and add when we feel like is important. But the fundamentals and the technique, our effort in which we play with, I think those will withstand the test of time regardless of what scheme you want to run.
Mike, now that you've really gotten to know your roster since you've been hired, do you view this as a long-term rebuild, or you just mentioned you're looking to be aggressive in free agency? Are you looking for a rapid rate of improvement here?
Well, we have to improve. I mean, I think that's the goal. I don't, our expectations aren't going to change. It's going to be to win the division. It's going to be to host home playoff games, and it's going to be to compete for championships. So we're never going to put a timetable or any sort of prediction on when that may happen, but it has to happen. And it's going to start April 7th when our guys come in, and we're going to build a program. We're going to have a foundation. We're going to give them something to believe in and to be proud of, and hopefully they're able to hold each other accountable and to that standard. And if not, then my job's to protect the football team.
Have you gotten a sense at all? Sorry, just to follow up really quickly. Have you gotten a sense at all locally that fans don't necessarily have the appetite for a longer process when it comes to getting back to the basics?
Well, I don't think anybody has a longer appetite. I mean, we all want to win. Like, that's why we're here. That's why I got hired. And it's to win. It's to put a product on the field that they can be excited about, that they can care about, and they can support. Like, that's the whole goal. And they shouldn't have to wait very long. And but we also have to understand that we're not going to fix every issue on the first day of free agency, or we're not going to fill every hole on the first or second day of the draft. I'm sorry, you had a question right here.
To that point,
just yell like some of these other people. Don't be so nice.
Given the amount of salary cap space you guys do have, would you feel comfortable paying a free agent perhaps like above their market value in order to ensure that you fill a need?
Well, I mean, I'm sure, like, I like to shop like everybody else, and so when you go and there's only one of a certain car, maybe you have to pay a little bit more for that one car because there's only one of them. When you start to get into a range where you feel like there's an area where players are comparable and you like 3 or 4 players in a certain area for a certain role, you may not have to overspend. But it's free agency. I think that everybody overspends sometimes in free agency.
How much input does Josh McDaniels get on which players are signed or drafted into the offense?
I would say it would be the same as our entire coaching staff. I want them to be included in those conversations. The one thing I've learned as a head coach is that there's always going to be players that coaches are going to covet, and there's going to be players that scouts are going to covet for certain reasons, and they call them traits and all this other stuff, and coaches want players that they can trust. And when we come across those players, I always chuckle because as being a position coach, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's going to love this guy, and then the scouts are going to love this guy, and then they're going to sit there and argue. So I see that come up, and I can appreciate that. But our coaches are going to have input. They're going to evaluate them. They've evaluated the free agents. They've turned the reports in for us to look at and review, and then we'll give them a draft list, and then they'll provide information on those players as well.
Mike, obviously assembling your coaching staff. You've assembled coaching staffs a number of times. How has your thinking evolved in the number of assistants you have in specialized roles, like having a passing game coordinator? Has that changed over the years?
Well, I think a lot of times we just want everybody to have a clearly defined role, do the best job in the job that they're in, and then as they excel in that role, that we look for ways to give them more to do. And we never want to hold anybody back. We want to provide opportunity, and if we can't provide that same opportunity with the Patriots, then we would allow them to go and pursue other opportunities. But the whole idea is that you teach people a system, and they understand who you are. You have a loyalty and a trust to it, and that you're able to promote from within. So I think that there's been some specialized things. I also think that those are ways to reward individuals, and maybe just to provide another title. But their input is always going to be valued and is going to be the same.
Is it necessary in 2025 to have bigger coaching staffs maybe than it was 5-10 years ago?
Well, our practice squad has increased, right? So to make sure that we're as efficient as possible, I think that if you can identify some young quality control coaches that are, we have to have energy. It's a long season. I don't want anybody in there till midnight coming back in at 4 in the morning. I just don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's healthy for the individual. I don't think that's healthy for their families. And, I think that the people that benefit the least are the players. Like, we have to come into this meeting each and every day, sell our vision, sell our plan on how to win each and every week. And if we don't have enough people to remain efficient, then sometimes people get worn down, and I don't want to see that happen. Now, we don't want people just standing around doing nothing. We want to make sure that everybody has a job and a role on our staff.
Mike, give me a relationship with
Two final questions.
how do you feel he's going to do as an owner with the Las Vegas Raiders?
How hard is it? It can't be that hard, right? It's not like playing, but no. Tom will provide great input. It's important that he's involved in our league, and I think that that's a great thing for the National Football League.
Like you mentioned, winning the division being the first goal, the Bills have really had a chokehold on it the past few years. I know you know Sean. What do you have to do to get over the hump that is, what they've built there in Buffalo?
Yeah, I think you have to continue to win your home football games. You have to make, playing at Gillette a tough place to play, and then you have to go on the road and be able to win games in the fourth quarter when you go on the road, whether that's in the heat in Miami or, cold, wind, rain, whatever it may be in Buffalo. So, and obviously the history and the tradition with the Jets and that rivalry. So, it's exciting. But it also isn't just about the Buffalo Bills. There's a lot of other elements to it. They've been extremely successful, how talented, and I've always appreciated Sean's teams, the way they play with the effort, the toughness, the fundamentals, and then obviously what Josh has given them, from a quarterback standpoint.
The difference in mood between an organization that has a quarterback and one that needs one?
A mood, yeah, it's up to each individual. We can't we can't rely on having a certain player to dictate what our mood is going to be. We have to, we dictate the mood that we have and the demeanor and the outlook that we have based on whoever we have. But if you're asking me what my mood is, I'm excited, energetic, positive, looking to build and get to work. Thank you.